All right, now on to our featured speaker for today. We have Claudia Restrepo. She is Josue's favorite operating principal, someone that I hear about all the time. Al, why can't you do it this way? This is how Claudia does it. Claudia does it better. She's so great. So he doesn't even want me to introduce her. He wanted to take that over and introduce Claudia. I think maybe they used to work together. I'm not sure.
No, I'm super excited to introduce one of my mentors and really the person that, and I'm so grateful for you, Claudia. You know, you were the first person that trusted me and gave me my first leadership opportunity. You trusted a 19-year-old kid at the time. So I'm super excited to have you here. And listen, I still have the MREA with all the notes and the stuff I learned from you, and I keep learning from you every single day. So super excited to have you here.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. And it is kind of funky sometimes to speak on Zoom when we have about 84 people and I can see only 3 or 4 faces, because I don't get to see the face that you make when I'm speaking too fast and I have a strong accent and I completely lost you. Then that gives me the sign that I need to slow down. So I am going to do my best.
A lot of times, Claudia, if you just ask people to turn on their camera, magically they all do it immediately. If you just
could you all please turn on your camera so then I don't feel like I'm having a monologue. Yay, thank you.
Or the really nice people will do it. The other ones don't.
That's fine. But I also know I have an accent and I speak really fast when I get excited about anything. And this is an exciting moment for me. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. So my name is Claudia Restrepo. I know some of you might have met me, have seen me, maybe speaking on a stage. I have been with Keller Williams about 17 years now. I started as a brand new agent in KW, and 2 years later, after having sold 36 homes my first year and about 38 the second, I launched my mega team, and within 5 years, I was at level 7. And I will share that it took me 5 years only because Gary Keller says, you are only 5 years away from anywhere you want to be. And I will tell you this, Gary Keller says, jump, I jump. So when he said that, and I said, okay, 5 years from now, I'm going to have a 7-level team. And I did that. I hired my replacement and I moved to Miami, where I took over a market center in Miami, Coral Gables, where Josue worked with me for a few years. And then I launched Keller Williams Colombia. And I'm sharing all this is because I kind of have pretty much every hat that you can wear in this company, besides working at KWRI. And I have a lot of information that I can share. Some people will say I'm very successful, I've done a lot of things, and yes, that's right. But I want to share this. If I can do it, any one of you can do it. I will say this, the only difference between you and I is that I think differently. We can do it. We are in the same company. We are in the same country. We face the same challenges, maybe a little variation here and then, but you cannot control anything outside of you. The only thing that you can control is how you think. So if people ask me what is the secret, besides telling them you need to read the red book and implement the red book, I actually say you need to change the way you think. And I know a lot of you have done bold, and I know we have the bold laws and change the way you look at things you look at change. And it is so easy to say, sometimes it's not so simple to actually apply it. But I will tell you right now that the only reason I am where I am, and I keep building and I keep going places and I keep, growing businesses, is because the way I think. So I hope my goal by the end of this conversation, maybe it's not so much about telling you what the MREA says, which we might talk about that, or giving you a tip on what to do. I hope that I can maybe inspire you and have you think a little different, or inspire you to think differently, to start reframing the way that you see things. So then you can take different action, because the only way that we take different actions is when we change the way we think. We keep taking the same actions because our behavior is ingrained, and our behavior is ingrained based on our thinking and our beliefs. So if I can inspire you to think a little different today, Therefore, hopefully you'll start changing the things that you do. Therefore, you'll get different results. Is that good? Okay, perfect. So concepts that I want to share with you, and in a little bit, I'm going to do my best with technology. I'm going to share my little camera here so I can do some drawings, is the concept that we are all exchanging time for money. Every single human being, we're in a capitalistic world, and we're not going to get into politics or economies, but the truth is, we all need money to consume products, to buy food, to pay for housing, to buy experiences. So we all take some or get skills to exchange the work that we do in the amount of time that we're doing it for money. The good news is we are in this amazing industry where I believe the amount of money that you can make is unlimited. It is unlimited, and it's a blessing that we chose to be in this fantastic industry. However, when we're not looking at how much time is my dollar per hour, right? How much money am I making per hour? And I'm just going around the day, and I'm not realizing, am I maximizing my time for the amount of money that I can make? Then we kind of stayed either a stock or a stable, or we just flatline, or maybe we go in this up and down roller coaster. So I want to take one of the main lessons that we have, one of the main topics that we talk about in KW, and kind of give it a little twist into how we see the time that we're investing versus the amount of income that we're earning. So I'm sure that all of you know about the 80-20 rule, right? Yes, I know you all know about the 80-20 rule. So I'm going to share my screen, and I want to see if I can make this draw. Here, okay. So I'm going to go slow. I'm going to make this drawing for all of us. As I'm walking, if hopefully you can make the same drawing, a piece of paper next to you, so then you can actually go back later and analyze, maybe put your own numbers. I'm going to walk you through numbers. I'm going to walk you slowly, but it's very simple. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to keep it in there. So we all know that in order to get 100% of the results, we need to do 100% of the activities, right? So 100% of the activities will produce 100% of the results. Let's take as an example a $10,000 commission. If I'm breaking down this on the 80-20 rule, I got 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one of these categories, if I break this down, each one of these $10,000 will be worth 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and 2,000. So if I were to take 100% of my activities that produce 100% of the result, meaning $10,000, I could give it a value of 20% of the activities produce 20% of the results, which in this case is 20,000. However, we know that in the 80-20 rule, right, 20% of the activities produce 80% of the results. Correct? So if I don't go linear, but I apply the Pareto law, which we know is like gravity, right? We can argue about it, but it works. If I drop this pen, it's just gonna fall down, right? The Pareto law is exactly the same thing. We can discuss it and argue about it, but it happens in every single case in life. So 20% of the activities will produce 80% of the result. In this case specifically, 20% of the activities is gonna produce $8,000 of the 10,000. % of the activities have a value of $2,000 out of the 10,000. So if I go with that thought process, and we go by what Gary Keller taught us once, and I'm gonna use 50 hours because it's easier math. This is hours times dollars. Gary Keller did a study when he was interviewing all the top agents, and in the MREA, he talks about this. If we were to take from the very first moment we make a contact all the way to closing, which is when we actually get our money, we could maybe quantify each activity, and it will take between 45 to 50 hours. The challenge is that life doesn't happen linear. So it's very challenging to agree that 50 hours is all you take, because you might take some in more activities in more, less time in another ones. But if in general, it could take up to 50. So we're gonna use 50 as an agreed number just for the exercise. So if it takes us 50 hours to apply 100% of the activities, get 100% of the results, applying the same 80-20 rule, then this will be 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours. In that case, if I take 10, produces 80% of the result, which is $8,000, I could argue these 10 hours are worth $8,000. I go by the 80-20 rule. Slow down, I'm gonna say that again. We are going to agree that it takes 50 hours to close one transaction, from the contact to closing. In those 50 hours, I could do 100% of the activities to produce of the result, $10,000. If I go and apply the 80-20 rule, 20% of the activities have a value of 80% of the results. I could argue or assume that I could give that 10 hours, which is 20% of 50, a value of 8,000. And the reason I'm sharing this is because when we start looking at how can I increase my income, how can I increase my income? A lot of times everybody thinks is I just need to work harder. And this is what I want you to introduce you to my favorite word in English, which I have an accent so it sounds funny, and is leverage. And leverage comes in the forms of tools, systems, and people. Not it's just people from the beginning. But let's take to, if you can get enough leverage to where you only focus on the 20% of the activities, you could work only 10 hours and make $8,000 versus working 50 to make 10,000. Just hang in there for me for a second, right? But because 100% of the activities need to be done, right? Like the 80-20 rule doesn't say only do 20 and you'll get 80% of the result. It says there are 100 have to be performed. You only focus on your 20%, leverage the 80%. If I find enough leverage, we could be with tools, with systems and people, and all the three of them, I could, in the exactly same 50 hours, right, either produce by myself $10,000, or I could produce $48,000. I'm gonna give you the math. This hour, I did it, I made 8,000. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 8, this is 40,000. Now I got $48,000 focusing on 20% that is worth 8,000, 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 and the 80% is done by tools, systems, and people. So when I'm looking at increasing productivity and I'm teaching my people, I'm gonna leave this for a second, and then I'll just close the screen so you can see me. When I'm looking at increasing productivity, I'm not just looking at how many more hours do I have to work. We all talk about working hard and work smart. Smart is not that you're gonna create more intelligence in your work. You're intelligent already. We are all intelligent, we're here. Are we using our time wisely, doing the right activities that are going to produce in the same amount of hours, $8,000 instead of $2,000? And the challenge is that we get stuck on doing all the work and we don't cross that threshold where we actually are increasing the income we're producing because we're being smart. So far, okay, so at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so tools, systems, and people. This is where everybody gets confused. The first mistake, everybody, so how many, I'm assuming all of you have the red book. I'm gonna show you mine. Mine actually is spiral binder. I have, let's see the camera, sticky notes everywhere. I got highlights everywhere. Like I really use this as a textbook. And even today, where I really don't run the legacy group, I have a phenomenal CEO who does the daily running of the company. I talk to him half an hour every Friday to help him strategize about what we're going to implement. Even today, when we sell 400 homes a year, we have 20 agents, the company's been open for 15 years, we still talk about what tools do we have? Is it the right tool that is going to take us to the next level? Which systems are we using? What system do we need to improve, exchange, or delete that is not working right now? And do we have the right people? So at any given time in your business, those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. Now, the challenge is most people think people is the first step. And they go hire an agent because they're swamped with leads, and they don't understand, or they don't take the time to understand the process of hiring someone, which should be your admin first, right? That's what the book says, and I promise to you that is actually what makes sense. But then we're going to hire salespeople. So my invitation is, first and foremost, it doesn't matter what kind of business you have right now. Even if you are a rainmaker with a team in this very moment, going to the next level, going through the business that we're getting into right now, going through the challenges that we're going to go through right now, which is different challenges. We always have challenges. Going through the market that we're in right now. The question is not, am I going to make it or not? The question is, what tool do I need to get through this market? What tool do I need to improve my business? And what are examples of tools? Canva is a tool. And by the way, go to the class on Canva because everybody needs to know Canva. I need to know Canva. But it's a tool. Now, a marketing campaign is a system for follow-up or a system to nurture. You can have different marketing campaigns. A marketing campaign is a system. It's something that you're going to do systematic, right? But the tool that you're going to use it to build it is Canva. Maybe the tool that you're going to use it to send it to your client is your CRM, which Command is the best tool that you could ever use. So Command is a tool that you already have built in your company. That tool, used at the highest potential, could be the tool that actually helps you change your business. Now, within the tool, are you using the system? Do you have a system to enter your contacts in the tool? Do you have a system to, how are you going to follow up with them? If you just enter your contacts, but you don't set campaigns, well, you're kind of using the tool halfway and you really don't have a system. When you call an expired listing, what happens after that? What system do you have in place? One thing that I was told very early on is anything that you do twice or more times, you better have a system for it. Otherwise, you're going to be reinventing it every single time. So the moment, for example, I'm assuming you all go take listings. Listing presentation, ready, set, ready for you to grab and go, you are going to lose a lot of time. And therefore, your dollar per hour is going to be less. The moment you implement a system to have that listing presentation ready to go, you're going to save time. You're going to be more efficient. Do you have a system to practice and role play your listing presentation, the statistics of the market? If you don't have a system for that, you are going to work more for less because it's not systematic, because you're not efficient about the way you do business. For me, checklists of processes are a tool. So my transaction coordinator have a program with a lot of checklists. The program itself is the tool. The checklist itself is actually a tool. Using the checklist systematically in the same way for every transaction is the system that we have to process 400 transactions a year. I will tell you this. When we broke 250 transactions, our entire spreadsheets for processes had to change because the way we were doing it would not have allowed our staff to process more transactions. So there are ceiling of achievement. You all know this, E2P. And then in that ceiling of achievement, you have to adjust the processes that you have. You know, it's tools, systems, focus, accountability, right? Models. So sometimes, like I said, you today might be a single agent. The gentleman that is going door knocking again, I love it. Congratulations. That's so exciting. And what system are you going to put in place so then you can make this consistent and repeatable? right? So I love that you are going around using your previous success, which is breaking records. I know you want to break another record. In this process of lead gen this way, what system are you going to put around to make this more efficient? See, the challenge is that we go around life having success and we don't document what we did that was actually successful. And then sometimes we get caught up on life and then we don't even remember what is it that I did last month that I got 3 listings because it was so natural, was so organic. I cannot even duplicate that. So one, whatever you're doing right now that is working or that you did last week that actually worked for you, before you forget, sit down and write down bullet points. I grabbed the phone at this time. I used this script. I role played it twice. I actually sent an email to myself, reminded. I got the phone number. I got the list. I went door knocking. I had lunch first. Whatever it is that you do, every single step, what can be duplicatable of that? Try to do it again next time. And you're going to find yourself creating a system that actually works for you. Now, I'm not telling you to reinvent the wheel. We got a lot of systems and tools that are already set for you. But there is uniqueness within you that allows you to be successful in this business, right? So I'm sorry, I forget your name, the gentleman who's doing door knocking, who actually does cold calling. Okay, great. So now you decided to go out there and put yourself out and go door knocking. Clearly it worked. Write down exactly what you did today so you don't forget, because we forget the details. And sometimes those details are the ones that make the difference. So next time I go out and door knock, I can recreate the same success. Okay? Okay, so that's tools. Systems, it could easily be your listing presentation, your buyer's presentation. My system for taking listings was always having the second appointment at the office. And at the time, it worked out great because we have a crazy buyer's market. There was no urgency to be in front of sellers. And what I did is I made cold calls every Monday, and I had maybe 5 to 6 appointments by noon because I became really good at calling expired listings. So my tool was the phone cold calling list of expires. And I completely internalized the expired scripts, and I would absolutely get 5 to 6 appointments in one day. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight, but I practiced so much and I became so good at it. That was the deal. So I would make my preview appointments on Mondays and Tuesdays afternoons. I will go to the house, 5 minutes. I had a script. I gave them my pre-listing packet that absolutely sold me and my company. I didn't have to do any sales. And then I will tell them, I'll see you at the office. They will come to the office. Every single time was the same. The reception of the market center had their name. I met them at the lobby. I walked them to the conference room. Usually it's 2 owners. I always had 1 chair in one side, 2 chairs on the other side. Of course, they knew exactly where they needed to sit. That allowed me to control the conversation every single time. I had my listing presentation exactly every single time. It never was more than 35 minutes. And I took 9 out of 10 listings. But it only happened because of the consistent repetition. My system worked, and they always come to the office. Then eventually the market changed, and now we're in a seller's market, and we need to rush to meet those sellers. And we just modified the system a little bit. We still have the same listing presentation. We still provide the same value, but now we needed to go to their houses. So yes, you adapt, but you still need to have a system that is duplicatable, that you can actually do again and again. And the more you do, the better you get at it. Okay, now let's talk about people. That's my favorite. I made the mistake to not take career visioning for my first 3 hires when I had my team. And one of them was a big mistake. It cost me a lot of money. The other 2, maybe because of my instinct or because of my background, I actually hired 2 amazing human beings. The challenge was I had them do something that was not their natural behavior. So the story goes, Julie was my transaction coordinator, office administrator. So she was in charge of running the office, admin-wise. She was in charge of making sure the supplies were ready, that all the packages were ready, that we were ready, set to go. And transaction coordinator, Jen, was the listing coordinator and marketing person. When I went and did career visioning, which at the time was called Recruit Select, I realized that I had two amazing human beings doing the wrong job. Julie at the time would be exhausted. She never finished the day before 6:30 or 7. She was going home super late. She was getting sick. Jen, on the other hand, was bored out of her mind. And she just could not find herself what else to do. So I came back and I basically did the KPA, what at the time was called the ABA. And I validated with each one of them the exactly same day. And I let them go to lunch and they came back and they said, we need to talk to you. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna quit because they're doing the wrong job. And they actually said, we realized that we need to get rid of Julie's admin work and give it to Jen. And then Julie will keep just transaction coordinator. And that was exactly what needed to happen. But they asked me to do it. From that moment on, Julie was solely focused on doing transaction coordinator, was the happiest human being. She was done by 5 p.m., feeling super successful because she got her job done. But about 3 months into it, she was done with all the transaction coordinator by Friday at 2 o'clock. She got to go home early on Fridays. And then Jen was so empowered, super excited because she was busy. She was in charge of making other things, not just marketing. And it was the best 2 years that we could have had in the legacy group. We grew from 120 transactions to 250 transactions. It was great. So, moment, of course, I got convinced that understanding human behavior is the key to build a team. And understanding human behavior, it is the key to build the right team. Yes, Al.
I just had a quick question, because one of the things we've been covering on all of these sessions is everybody always wants to know how super successful people like yourself, how are they changing any of the things you're talking about, the people, the systems, the checklists, in light of the changes? Are you doing anything different on your listing presentations? Are you doing anything different with the team, with the buyer agency agreements? Has anything changed in light of the NAHREP settlement for you and your team? Or is it just as usual?
A little bit from our organizational chart standpoint. So we have used the buyer's agents agreement from day one. So for us, it hasn't been an issue, or that is not and has not been an issue in our head to get buyer's agents agreement, because from the moment I launched the legacy group, all my agents are trained, it's part of the system to sign a buyer's agents agreement. In fact, it is part of the buyer's consultation. We don't show a buyer unless they came to the office, unless we sat down through the whole buyer consultation and they sign a buyer's agents agreement. That's how we do it. So that hasn't changed. And we always said, in the event that the seller is not paying my commission, you are going to agree that you pay our commission. And because we just show them so much value, they always sign it. And we always say, well, we're going to do our best that you don't have to pay anything. And we're just signing this just in case. What is actually changing is we are doing more training on taking listings, on the agents that actually take listings. So I follow the MREA, this wonderful book, to the T. When an agent joins us from the beginning, they're only buyer's agents. I only hire brand new agents. That's my preference, and it's been for 15 years. I only hire brand new agents. I don't hire experienced agents. And we teach them our way. We teach how we do things. And we if I hire you in January, we almost can guarantee you that you're going to close 15 to 17 transactions your first year with us. But it's all buyers. By year 2, when the end of year 2, if you're doing what we're telling you, you can actually start getting trained on taking listings, but I'm not gonna give you listing leads. That is if your mom has a listing, if your best friend has a listing, then you can go. If you wanna go explore for sale by owners, expires, we'll teach you how to, but we're not gonna give you listing leads. But about year 4, you now become a dual agent. You can go work on listings, work on buyers. Only a few of my top agents get listings. So now what we're doing, Al, is we're training those agents that are at the listing level how to really go get listings. Because not only the inventory is small, but we definitely want to have more control of our business. And by having more listings, we'll have more control of our business. So that's the only change. Of course, we have the NAHREP scripts that are being going around. Jeff Glover has done a phenomenal job on producing some of those scripts. I went to one of his class, and he's sharing those scripts, and I think they're phenomenal. So we're teaching our agents on how to use them, but nothing else. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to understand that it's a relationship-based business, that unfortunately buyers and sellers are getting all the information from the media. So today more than ever, we got to become the experts and we got to educate our people. And we need to stay ahead. We cannot wait until the media said something for us to open our mouth and then now get the buyer or the seller who doesn't want to pay. Stay ahead, like call your people. Hey, have you heard about this settlement? Have you heard on the news? They all have heard about it. Okay, do you have questions? Let me be the interpreter of the actual situation. Don't listen to the news, because when was the last time that you heard something in the news that it really wasn't real, right? So let me give you my perspective. That's how you build relationship. You bring information to them, you bring them confidence, you bring them trust, and then you educate your people. So that's mostly what we're doing at this point.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to hear you only hire brand new agents, because I had sent my resume in a few times to join your team and I never got a call back. Now I know why.
Well, there you go. You're overqualified. How about that?
Thank you.
Okay, so the last thing I want to say about people, and then we can open the mic for questions, is nobody succeeds alone. And you don't necessarily have to have people right away for your team, but think of people as who can help me do things that are in the 80% of my life. So usually leverage starts at home. If you find yourself next week cleaning the bathrooms and cleaning the floor and doing all the laundry, and that's taking you 5 hours of your week, who could you hire for $200 that will take those 5 hours away and give those 5 hours back to you? So then you can do activities that produce $10,000, $5,000, $2,000, even $500, right? Somebody to mow the lawn, somebody that does all the cooking for you, anything that you might be doing at home that has to be done, but it's maybe a $20 an hour kind of job. You have signed up for an amazing industry where you can make thousands of dollars per hour, as long as you're willing to let go of the $20 an hour tasks and find someone to do them for you. It could be a personal assistant. One of my top agents, the first assistant she hired, well, actually like the third one, was, I need you to drive. I need you to be able to drive. And I need you to pick up my daughter at 3 o'clock in a school and bring it to the house to my mom and then come back to the office. That was part of her job description, because she realized they having to stop around 2 o'clock to get herself to school, to wait for the daughter, take it to the house. That was 2 hours of productivity that she was missing out. About a month and a half later of her assistant picking up her daughter, taking it home, she already had 5 more closings, and she was able to get home by 5:36 at a normal time, being productive, and now spend dinner with her daughter. So sometimes it's not just go hire a buyer's agent. It could be any help that you can get to get rid of that $20 an hour task and focus on the $1,000 an hour, which is calling expires, networking, or whatever lead generation activity that you do. So that's my 2 cents about leverage through people. So increasing your productivity, it's about understanding, I am using this time right now to do a task. Can a tool do it faster, better than me? Can a system alleviate or reduce the amount of time I have to spend on this? Or can somebody do it for me? So I wanted to leave you with that. And I'm open for any question you guys can have.
I'm sure we have some questions from the agents. Just raise your hand or put it in the chat, or just unmute. I had a question. I know you're teaching a great class on the 12-week year. Is there anything you want to talk about that, or so if you want to plug that class, yes, great. But also,
love it.
What are the biggest takeaways from that class? And then the last thing, or one more thing, would be, if there's one like actionable piece of advice that you could give everybody on this Zoom that they could like get off the Zoom and jump on and go do something that will help them generate business, what's the best nugget that you feel like you can share?
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let me share the 12-week program first. So I have been teaching 135, which is our GPS, which is our goal setting tool, for about 15 years. I've used it in my team, in my market center, in the country of Colombia for the region. Every single year, we do our 135, which is we set goals for the next 12 months. Then we break it down in objectives. Then we break it down in priorities. And we ended up with 15 priorities we need to implement for the next 12 months. And I'm sure this happens to you as it happens to me. Month 3 or 4, we realize we're behind our goal. Our priorities are too difficult to implement, some as easier than other ones. By month 6, we kind of don't even look at the 135, and we're struggling, trying to get to the goal of the end of the year. So I actually took this class. I read the book a few years ago, and I've been taking this class and applying it for myself. And it is literally taking chunks of time to implement smaller goals. When it is, the 12 month could be a marathon. I'm like, I will run it in short sections. Nobody wants to go on a diet for 12 months. I mean, don't ask me to go on a diet for 12 months. That sounds too long. But I could commit to 12 weeks. 12 weeks sounds long enough to get a habit, but short enough that I can actually see results. So the whole purpose of this 12-week year class is to help you identify what needs to happen in the next 12 weeks to get you to your goal. And then you learn the tools to actually do it the next 12 weeks and the next 12 weeks. And it doesn't have to be from January to January. Whenever we do the class, in the next Monday we start a 12-week section. And you leave the class with 3 specific activities, not 15, not 20, with 3. That makes it so simple. And you go with so completely convinced on it's exactly clarity. How am I going to do it? How am I going to have accountability? And how am I going to reach that specific goal? 3 different ones, not 20, in 12 weeks. So I love the class. It makes it so simple. It combines the big why, it combines the one thing, it combines the 80-20, all these concepts that we have in a very simple class. So when we announce the day for the class, I will love everybody to come and sign up, and we can spend a whole one day getting clarity on that. And then to your question, what will be the one thing I will say to everybody right now to increase productivity? Commit to a number of people that you're going to talk on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be 20. When we look at you need to talk to 20 people, people just get scared. Oh my gosh, 20. If you already talk to 2 people a day about real estate, increase it to 4, right? It doesn't have to be 20. Talk to more people. Today, more than any time, everybody is with fear, everybody with questions, everybody is wondering what they're going to do. People need help. Go out there being the person who provides help. And how do you provide help? By informing them of what's happening, by being the hand that guides them through these times. And sometimes they might not be ready to sell a house, but if you're the person who's helping them because you actually grab the phone and call them, because you actually knock on their door and ask them, hey, how are you doing? I will say, this is again, a relationship-based business. Lead generation, there is 100 ways to do lead generation, but all of them include being in contact with human beings. Just talk to more people every day. Add 2 or 3 or 4 more people to your daily conversations. I promise to you, in a month, if you add 2 people a day, you have talked already with 60 more people. The chances to get a piece of real estate business because you just talk to 2 more people a day are huge. So just add 2 more people. That will be my thing. Just go talk to more human beings.
Awesome. Can I throw in one more before we go to the agents? Just selfishly, I'd love to just hear a minute about how you opened up the KW Columbia. Everyone always talks about if they're from somewhere else, like, how do I open up, KW there? It's just so inspiring, everything that you've accomplished. Like, how did you do it? And why did KW pick you? I'm sure you're not the only person who had the idea of opening up KW in Columbia. So how did that work?
Well, that's a very long story. I'm going to give you the short of it. When Chris Heller stood in front of all of us and he was announced that he was going to be the president of Keller Williams Worldwide and just opened, I sent him a text message and I said, I'm taking KW to Colombia. I had no idea how I was going to do that. Again, going back to how I think, and if I put something in my head, I'm going to make it happen. So I'm going to make it. At this point, I was still living in Spokane. I wasn't even at 7 level. I was more like 5, 6. And I started going to Colombia to look for OPs. And I started going to Colombia because I knew that in order to be the OP of the country, I had to live in the country and I wasn't going to live in Colombia. Fast forward a few years, I moved to Miami. I kept looking for people. Somebody introduced me to somebody. Change of roles from Chris Heller to Bill Saradov. Bill approved this human being that had been applying to be the OP. And I knew he was not the right person. And I knew because I had just invested the last 6 years learning about human behavior, learning about roles, learning KPIs. And I knew he wasn't. I interviewed him. He didn't have the experience. He didn't have the influence. But I guess at the time, there was the need to give him the opportunity. And a year and a half later, he had wasted all the money. He had not produced anything. He was not paying gross share. And Bill Sararov called me and he said, well, here is your chance. You got 6 months to be the interim OP. If you take it, you write me a $20,000 check to pay for the debt of profit share. And I'll sign you as the interim operating principal, and you go find and build a team. And I said, okay. I literally just said, okay, give me 10 minutes. I'll call you right back. And 10 minutes later, I said, okay, tomorrow you'll have your $20,000. And I spent 3 months building a great core group. And September 28th, we were relaunching KW Colombia. Now I was a major investor because I took the guts to go and do the job and take the risk. And I had enough knowledge of the company, and I had enough knowledge of behavior and what a core group looked like and the influence. And I put the time in. I did not rest. I learned so much about franchises and attorneys in those 3 months that you have no idea. But here is the lesson though. I tell people, you gotta be willing to do what you don't like to do and when it's hard for enough time so then you don't have to do it ever again. And I'm gonna say this. I start doing lead gen the way the book says, 3 hours a day for 5 days a week, lead gen 15 hours a day. And within about 6 months, I was tired of being in a chair calling 3 hours a day. And I heard Gary Keller saying, you can do event time or clock time. Event time is you call for 3 hours a day for 5 days a week. And we know that work expands to the time allowed. Or you can do clock time, which is you're going to call for as long as it takes to get to your goal. When he said that, I said, wait, I have permission to just get on that phone the entire day until I get my 5 appointments, because my 135 said I had to have 5 appointments a week. It took me 3 months to go from 3 hours a day, 5 times a week, to 1 day in 4 hours, I got 5 appointments. But I was willing to call every single day for as long as it took to get those 5 appointments. And I didn't make it happen in the first week. I didn't make it happen in the second. By month and a half, I was making it happen by Wednesday. By month 3, on Monday, I was getting my 5 appointments. And then I didn't have to call the rest of the week. So when I took over Colombia, I knew I had until December 25th to have a core group in order to earn the opportunity to be an investor. Because at that point, they were not allowing anybody that lived in the United States to continue being investors in other regions. But because I was the only option, like I was the only hope, which is a good thing for me. And I just literally gave it 3 months of non-rest, non-stop, get it done. Because once I built the core group, I was able to not have to invest that much time. But it happens in everywhere, right? Are you willing to put in the time to learn the KPA, to go through the process so you can hire the right person so you don't have to do that job again? That's how I ended up with Colombia. And then I was the regional trainer for about 1.5 years because I knew I had to come and train everybody because the only one KW was me. And then I found my replacement, and then that's it. Ever since, I stopped going and I just traveled to other regions, other countries to teach and be in front of those humans. And that's my passion.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. That's such a great story.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Okay.
Any other questions? This is your one shot. Well, while they're thinking about, I had one more actually. When you were talking about even, paying $200 to have somebody pick up your kids, or what if you're a solo agent and you want to get leverage, but you don't have money to throw at leverage? Is there how do you get leverage before you have the money to pay for it?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's what everybody thinks, that it has to be throwing money at something. I will start with what tools are you using to buy your time back, right? So, for example, Command is one of the best tools that you can have. And using Command to do all your activities, your follow-ups, is a system, and use the systems within Command is what's going to give you leverage first. And what I mean in that case of leverage, leverage is not just people. That's what I said, tool, systems, then people. What tool are you using? And what system are you using? So then you can generate more transactions. So then you can have the income to get a person, right? So it is first tools. Like, let's pretend I don't have a car. I actually have agents in my office. I have hired a few people that want to do real estate and they don't have a car. I go, this is going to be very challenging. How are you going to get around, right? So maybe having a car is a tool. Now you get the tool to drive around, then therefore you're going to be more efficient. So think of tools as things that you can use to make the job more efficient, so then you can actually increase by one transaction. Think of systems as, I call expires. I was calling expires because I am not a patient person. So for sale by owners to me are impossible. Like Claudia Restrepo cannot do for sale by owners, but I'm all about expires. But I will call expires to get appointments, but I will not get some appointments. And if I don't have a follow-up system, that conversation is lost, because how am I supposed to remember to call them? But I can't remember to call them because I'm making more phone calls. So having a system to follow up with those people, so then that conversation that is not an appointment yet can become a transaction, is a leverage, right? So tools and system first. And if you don't know what tool do you need, or where do you need a tool, or where do you need a system in your business, chances are it's because it's all in your head. And you're just working, doing, and you don't even know where to start. So here is what I would suggest you do, and this is what I tell all my coaching clients. When we start talking about tool, systems, and leverage, we also need to find, where are you wasting your time? This is an annoying exercise, but I promise it will pay off if you do it. I would like 5 days, but minimum take 3 days. And you're gonna write down in a notebook every 30 minutes. So I literally put an alarm for 30 minutes, every 30 minutes. And when it sounds, you're gonna write down, what did you just do? I opened the car. I sat in the car and looked at Facebook for 20 minutes. I got a coffee. Whoop, 3 minutes again. I literally made 3 phone calls, no appointments, 30 minutes again. I went to lunch, I went shopping, 30 minutes again. Everything that you did for 3, hopefully 5 days. Don't analyze it, don't criticize it, just write it down. And then you're gonna get 3 different colors. You're gonna write, first of all, you're gonna color everything that you don't like to do. Everything that you don't like to do. Like, I hate this, I don't wanna do this. Now, if you highlight lead generation, sorry, you're gonna have to still do that. Sometimes you do have to do the things that we don't like to do. And then you're gonna have another color for things that you actually can do, you prefer not to, but you can do it. And then the ones that you love to do. And there you go. You have the areas of life where you need to find a tool to replace that, to do it for you, or find a system, or find somebody, right? But you got your jobs right there. Like, I don't care for folding laundry. I promise I will pay anybody to fold laundry for me, but I will do the dishes all day long. So you know what? Maybe we need to be more efficient at the house. I'll get my husband to do the laundry and I'll do the cleaning and the dishes, because I'd rather do that, but it still needs to get done, right? I'm just making simple things, examples, right? So find exactly what you hate to do in one color, but you don't know until you actually get the list of things that you're doing, right? Like, if you get the list of things that you're actually doing, you and I most likely don't do the same things every day. And I guarantee you, I sit down and do the list, I'm gonna find things that I'm doing that I'd rather don't do. Can I leverage them today? Maybe not. Can I find a tool to do them for me? Can I find a system to help me make it easier? And that's where the leverage starts at.
Makes a lot of sense.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I hope this was helpful.
This was incredibly helpful, and even more than helpful, it's inspiring. Just, hearing how you built this incredible business in 2 different countries. It's amazing. You make me feel lazy.
Oh, come on.
Anyone else before? We want to be respectful of your time, but I want to make sure if anyone else has a question, Colleen, Elizabeth, anybody have any questions?
Somebody here has a question. Yani Xiao. She says, how is your calendar look like on your daily basis? Okay, most people don't like that answer on today's live that I have today. I don't do much. I'm really, really granular on the 20% of activities that I do. My calendar today is call with my team leader in MCA or call with my team leader in Spokane. And I actually, Colombia, I don't even check on Colombia as much anymore. But I will tell you this, when I was an agent, I always was the first one at the office. I'm a morning person. That's an advantage, thank God. But I will tell you this, if you are not a morning person, you can become a morning professional. You sleep in on Saturdays if you want to, but you can actually get yourself, the day starts the night before. So if you get yourself ready, if you force yourself to go to sleep early, I promise to you, you'll be able to get up early. I go to bed now like around 9 or 9:30. I get up between 5 and 5:30, and I have 2 hours for myself. I do journaling, meditation, I exercise, I color because it's my other way to meditation. I do coloring, and then by 7, I wake up my children and I get them all ready, take them to school. And some days I have coaching calls and meetings. Some days I just leave it open for whatever happens. I work out, and 2 days a week, the kids are with me. So this afternoon, I'm like right now, as soon as we finish, they are here with 2 friends. We're going to go and play this. We're going to go to the park, and that's my kids' time. And when they're not with me, I get to work and I get to teach classes. I get to travel. When I was an agent, I will say by noon, I was already making calls since 8:30 because I was at the office by 7:30. I will role play. I prepare my scripts. I will be making calls until about 12. When I launched the team, which I was still a listing agent, that's when I was doing lead gen until noon. And then one day I realized I cannot run the team and be calling for 3 hours a day. I have to become so good at this that I get the appointments done in 4 or 5 hours. And I did that. So on Mondays was my call day. I made appointments for the entire week. The rest of the mornings, I was coaching agents, accountability meetings, teaching them. And then in the afternoons, I was meeting clients and working on the systems. But the calendar evolves, right? And not everybody has the same amount of energy at every single day of the time. Like for me, mornings are great. By the afternoon, I'm low in energy, unless I'm teaching, which is the most bizarre thing. I can teach from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. and I have all the energy in the world. But if I'm not teaching, by the afternoon, my energy is low. I try not to do much, but I have accomplished all the 20% before noon for sure.
You mentioned coaching a few different times. Do you, I'm sure a lot of people would love to be coached by you. Do you coach people outside your team? Do you have like coaching business where you would coach people?
Yes, I do. I don't take on too many people, but I am always, and I'm not the kind of coach that will tell you, let's talk every single week for 12 months. I will most likely have a conversation with you, see where you need help. We'll make a conversation as, how about we work for 3 months to get this project done, and I'll coach you through, and we have an agreement on compensation. It's not, I'm not the kind of behavior that sits every day on a chair week after week, like a MAPS coach or any other coaches that are great. Like I have a MAPS coach for me. I got like 3 coaches, but I do on a case by case. But yes, I would love to. Everybody wants to reach out to me and have a conversation. I'll be more than happy to explore. I may not be the right coach for you. Or
so if somebody wants to sell 250 homes a year, open up offices in Miami and Colombia, and wants to learn how to do that, they can coach with you. So is it okay if we send out your contact info when we send the recording and tell people to reach out to you if they're interested in coaching with you?
Absolutely. Please do so.
All right. And
we're going to have this class coming up at the September, October, November. We haven't set up the day yet. I would love everybody to come so we can change the way we set plans and goals so we can accomplish all of them.
All right. Very last question. Tiffany had a question. Did you want to unmute Tiffany and ask your question? All right. Maybe not. Tiffany wanted to know, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out and has to start out part-time before they can go full-time?
Oh, great. I was a part-time agent for the first 5 months. I was working at Bank of America as a teller the whole morning, and then I will go to real estate in the afternoon. Plug in to your market center. The market center has the best resources. Do your lead gen when you can. Don't, just because if you have a part-time in the morning, don't think that you cannot do lead gen. Listen, work expands to the time allowed. If you only have 6 hours a day because you work until noon and you have after that, that is enough to get you to set up your business so then you can get some transactions under your belt and then you can quit your other job. just have confidence in you, but you got to plug into your market center, plug into the classes. If there is a productivity coach available for you, which I know there is, I will absolutely rely on the productivity coach. The classes, like, just plug in. The more you grow, the more your business is gonna grow, and do the work. Like, don't get discouraged because you have a part-time job. Take that as, okay, this is for now. I'm gonna focus, really do the activities that I'm told I should do in the rest of the time. Because I promise to you, there will be a moment, if you do that, like it happened to me, that I couldn't wait to quit. Like, I was so sure this was the path that I was gonna take. I was liking it so much, and I was needing the other hours. I couldn't wait to quit. And it took me 2 extra months because I had promised my boss at the bank that I was gonna wait until December. But by October, I was looking for somebody to cover my shifts because I really, really wanted to give this a 100%. So just trust the process, but plug in into the market center. Every single class that you can go, even if it is farther, bigger level than you are, you're going to learn something.
All right. Awesome. Thank you again so much, Claudia. Really appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
fantastic week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.